Hello, this is Andrew Arcana again. First, I may do some more of these voice-only podcast-style updates. This way I don't need to worry about setting up cameras and worrying about good angles in the space that I'm currently in. And second, this particular upload is something that I want to say with good intentions, but which may stir up some less than good feelings in some of the places that I frequent, and I promise that is not my intent. So I am going to tread carefully, even though I am going to argue against deck interviews in some limited situations. I also believe that everybody's practice belongs to them. Your practice belongs to you, and anyone we meet, their practice belongs to them. So it is not my place to say what your practice or anyone else's should be. My case against tarot deck interviews surrounds possible harm, especially to new readers. I think these interviews can cause preventable problems, especially in the case of newcomers, and I only hope that they can be spoken about with a little bit more care and a little bit more caution. And again, this comes from my time on different forums. This comes from observing new readers who may feel discouraged by tarot in general because of their very first reading. One bad deck interview at the beginning of their practice could cause somebody to give up, and that's the thing I don't want. So, what is a deck interview? Upon receiving a new deck, some tarot readers will ask their deck specific questions about itself. Each question is answered by a single card. This is similar to any other tarot spread, such as a Celtic Cross or a past, present, future spread. The oldest deck interview I could find was a forum post from 2005. That forum post, which I will link to, had these 6 questions to ask. Question 1. Tell me about yourself. What is your most important characteristic? Question 2. What are your strengths as a deck? Question 3. What are your limits as a deck? Question 4. What do you bring to the table? What are you here to teach me? Question 5. How can I best learn from and collaborate with you? Question 6. What is the potential outcome of our working relationship? These would be the first 6 questions that a brand new tarot reader would ask from their very first tarot deck. One card would be drawn to answer each question. That is the basis of a deck interview. Deck interviews are still fairly new. New practices are not inherently bad practices, but the age of the deck interview needs to be brought up. This is a new practice. It has almost certainly come of age on social media. The earliest reference that I was able to find was the previous reference to a message on the Eclectic Tarot Forum. That message was dated July 9th, 2005, and part of the text reads, "My thanks to 3 other forum members whose own new deck spreads in this topic forum inspired me." It is very worth considering that the deck interview may have effectively been born and raised on the internet. I've never seen a deck interview mentioned in any of the books in my personal collection. I've never seen the deck interviews in any little white books that come with the decks either. These books range from new to old, from inexpensive beginner books to heavily researched books containing countless charts and graphs and so much nerdy material. So if anyone sees this and you hope to be critical of my conclusions, then you will actually have my genuine appreciation for finding an older source. And I would especially love to see a deck interview in print which was published before the turn of the millennium. And this is genuine. Please do it, because I love learning. And I am excited by the history of tarot. So that is sincere gratitude. And you would get that chance to prove me wrong and make me happy about it. I would be delighted to learn. So that's my next point. Deck interviews as a social experience. Deck interviews online have always struck me as social experiences. They can be ways to share excitement for a new deck, even among peers and online friends. And every deck interview that I saw up until the mid-2010s was also a practice for more experienced and intermediate tarot readers. And once again, I'm bringing this up because my worry comes from telling a brand new tarot reader to perform this deck interview. And I'm guilty of social experiences too. Friends have asked me to create unboxing videos. There are probably still some visible on this channel. I did that entirely to socialize with my online friends. Deck interviews confuse and scare new readers. And again, those new readers are my biggest concern. I want to see them treated well. I want to see them off to a running start and learning something that they're excited about. And I spend time in online forums about tarot cards and tarot reading, so I see new readers told to begin their entire practice with a deck interview. Then some of those new readers, not all of them, but some, they end up confused, afraid of their deck, or both. And confusion comes from a very logical place if you think about it. Someone just brought their first tarot deck. They have had no time to learn what the cards mean. They've had no time to build their intuition and their intuitive understanding of the cards. And now they have laid out an interview spread with no prior knowledge or understanding or intuitive process related to tarot. This new reader has no idea what the interview spread is ultimately trying to tell them. Fear. Despite having no experience with tarot, it does not take an experienced reader to sense dread in the Tower, half the Suit of Swords, or even the Death card. In fact, inexperienced readers may have even worse reactions to those cards than anyone else. So, picture an example like this. A new reader draws cards for the very first time using a deck from the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. This very first reading is a deck interview. This brand new reader draws 2 court cards, Temperance, the 9 of Cups, the 5 of Pentacles, and the 9 of Swords. So imagine further that the 9 of Swords was the answer to the question to, what is the potential outcome of our working relationship? The deck has just told them the 9 of Swords. And this is a brand new reader asking the very first question of their very first tarot deck. Plainly, that reader can be confused, if not a little bit frightened. Did their deck just say it hates the reader? Is the deck trying to taunt them? Is the deck offering a Faustian bargain? I have seen this happen to new readers, and I don't want this to happen to new readers. So my advice to newcomers in this position has always been to treat the interview spread as a practice reading. Absolutely come back and interview the deck after you've spent some time learning to read tarot. Interview any future decks you buy after you're comfortable with the cards. But please do not invite your very first tarot reading to scare you away. Animism. Animism in this context is the belief that inanimate objects contain souls. A deck interview may strongly imply to me that the tarot deck has a singular soul split into 78 pieces. This presents even more considerations that a new tarot reader should ask themselves. Does this new tarot reader believe that the tarot deck has a soul? Should they believe it? And if so, where did this soul come from? If not, does this reader believe in another spiritual or metaphysical source for any communication with their deck? The answers to this are up to every individual reader. It feels responsible for any new tarot reader to know where they stand before they even engage in this practice. Positive steps for deck interviews. My perspective on all new practices is that it would be great to see someone fully develop that new practice. Create a web presence or a book or any fixed point of reference on deck interviews. This reference should be expansive and well researched. Discuss the positive sides of deck interviews. Discuss the potential pitfalls of a deck interview. Discuss whether to treat this interview as a serious tarot reading, a practice reading, or any other kind of exercise. Discuss deck interviews at different stages of someone's practice, from a brand new reader to an intermediate to a seasoned reader. Discuss animism and whether the cards have their own identity. Discuss how much of a tarot reading comes from the cards or from the reader. Provide multiple interview spreads that run the range from secular to the reader being a psychic source to the deck itself having its own spirit. And please do all of the above from a place of growth, safety, kindness, and encouragement. And there is a part of me that would like to spearhead this project from a slightly grumpy but hopefully empathetic perspective. But my ultimate goal would be the safety of newcomers. Conclusion. My ultimate case against deck interviews is the safety and well-being of new tarot readers. If someone has been reading long enough that they are secure in their practice, can read the cards with competence, and won't be afraid of pulling a few challenging cards, then yes, please make those deck interviews a part of your practice. But if someone hasn't even pulled the cellophane off their first deck, then please ease them into their practice with a little more discernment. And ultimately, that's it. I want to make a case toward more safety, toward encouraging new readers, and toward helping those new readers to grow. And to do that, I feel that it's wise to make this one situational case against deck interviews. Just wait a little bit. Wait until your second deck. Wait until you've got a little bit more experience and you know how to read the cards and see the positive and negative in all the cards, until you have your practice a little bit more firmly established. So I hope that everybody out there is well. I hope that you are possibly even encouraged. And I'd like to see us all grow and be kind to each other. Thank you.